Hello, everyone, and what the hey is up with my camera? Let's see if we can fix that real fast. There we go. I think that should do it. Yeah, there we go. That was weird. Anyway, that was fun. Okay, everyone, we had to make an adjustment to the camera on the fly. Um, hope everyone is doing well. Let's see if we can get that. All right. It is Sunday. We have survived another week and another weekend and getting ready to jump into the weekday. Hopefully everyone is ready. Friday we did our part 4 of the rune class over at Locals, and that was a lot of fun. Some people had a lot of work and stuff, so don't worry if you're a supporter and you was at work or anything else. It is available for replay for supporters over at the Locals channel, as are the other parts, minus the first one. Hands down, I forgot to record the first one, but we did post all the notes for the supporters all the same. So yay! It was a lot of fun though. This week, actually, I'm super excited personally because I'm actually getting ready to go camping this week. Get out in the woods by myself, have some fun, chill, do some relaxing. Got a lot to think about. Got a lot on the meditation list. You know what I mean? Got some camping gear and stuff that I really like. I've tested it here at the house, but I want to go out in the woods and put it to the full test. Um, so that's going to be a lot of fun for me personally. They are calling for a bit of rain, so hopefully the tent works every bit as well as I'm hoping, because I'm actually going to be taking that one Tigress hot tent that I did a video on, the TP style one. I'm taking that with me. It'll be the first time to take it into the woods fully, and I'm going to be testing it out, see how it works out there. So we'll get to put it through its paces. So I'm going to enjoy that. That's actually going to be the highlight of my week, I think, personally speaking. Jade, good to see you. Jade, if you could be so kind for me, dear, could you drop a link to the online school as well as the Locals community for everyone here? For those who don't know, or maybe it's your first time here, we do have an online school over at Teachables where we have courses like Dragon Magic 101, 102, meditation. We just released an evocation course. There's a tarot course. Very, very reasonably priced. I am committed to keeping everything reasonably priced instead of gouging. I'm not a gouger. Because I truly believe in the work we do in this channel. You know, we focus on self-mastery, self-empowerment. And well, I believe if you take these techniques and apply them, you shall succeed. And because of that, I don't need to gouge you for them. Because quite frankly, I use these techniques too. But if you haven't seen our Locals community, which Jade just dropped a link to, well, not that's the school. She will drop a link to. Check us out. We have a lot of content and stuff over there that we can't do here on YouTube that we are doing, and we are adding more constantly. And just so everyone knows, we are actually trying to grow that local community. Because the way Locals is set up, the larger the supporter community, it has to be supporters, not just members. Members can sign up for free. Supporters are paid supporters, but we keep the supporter cost super low. They will give you more server space for your community, I guess is what you would call it in the tech industry. And that allows us to do more things. They give us more streaming time, more streaming uploads, those kinds of things as we grow it. And I'd absolutely love to see a constant, steady 50 supporters over at Locals, if we could. And I did some math. I don't know if y'all care about this, but I did some math, and we could actually we would not have to worry about demonetization or anything if we just hit 50 supporters over at Locals. 50 supporters at Locals would completely replace anything that YouTube does, which would allow us to, at the bare minimum, set it so that ads are like minimalistic, maybe even stop running ads at all, which again can get annoying. But I also I don't know if YouTube will run them even if I turn them off. So, but that's my hope. That's my hope. Just so y'all know what my hope was. That's what I'm thinking. I'd love to get to that point. I am thinking of popping over and doing more live streams via local. I am going to actually, I'm working on attempting to start live streaming both here and over at Rumble for Magical Coffee Hour, at least in the near future. So those are both going at the same time to see how those go. If that works, who knows what we'll do. Because I'm just trying to get the information out there to more places, accessible to more people. There's a lot of people right now who, even though YouTube, I think, is still the largest content area, there's a lot of people who don't like it, and I understand that. I get that. They've been good to me. They have been good to me. I can't deny they've been good to me, and um, I understand there's certain things due to the rules I can't do, but I agreed to those rules, so I ain't got an issue with that. But I am finding avenues for us to have those other conversations, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's actually been pretty good. It has, and I am looking to do more content, even possibly here on YouTube, not just over at locals. But um, many of you noticed I've switched over to doing largely live content. I find I enjoy that. I actually found out that editing depresses me, like depressing in a painful way. I don't like it. I don't know why. So if you, as you we go forward, don't be surprised if you see more and more of the videos done live whenever possible. All right, let's get to some of these people. We got some people jumping in here. Let's say hello and see if we got any questions. Also, do remember, if you do a super chat of $5 or more during a live stream, or a super thanks on video, whether it has a question or not, you're entered into a spell working for wealth, prosperity, and health and vitality. So I do that spell working every Monday. So anytime during the week, or especially during live streams, if you do it, and it flashes on the screen so I can see it. So if you have a question that's getting missed, that's also a great way. You don't have to do $5. You can do anything for it to flash on the screen, just so you know that. Because I do miss questions. I miss them. All right. Let's see. Violet Star, good to see you. Scarlet, welcome. Dragon of the West, good to see you again. Angela, hello. Rendini, welcome. Of course, Jade's here. Bonaldus, you made it. Thank you. And Jade, thank you very much for dropping those links. I do appreciate that. Let's see. Scarlett, I would like to ask if you read the book Psychic Witch. I have read a book called Psychic Witch. It was years ago. I would have to go back and look through it before I could actually recall any of the content in it, if that makes sense. That being said, I've heard there's more than one. So I will go back and take a look. Can you give me the author? Because honestly, I'm getting into the camping season and stuff. One of the things I plan to take is a Kindle or something, so I can do some reading, catch up on some reading while I'm out there when I get bored. If I get bored, so that would be a good thing to have. But I'll be honest, I've read a book called The Psychic Witch. Oh wow. Crap, man, that was before my wife was in the military. I'm old. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been over 10 years, over 10, 15 years since I've read the book I'm thinking of. Just Jim. Hey, Drake, I recently signed up for locals. Hey, mugs up to you. Thank you very much. I'll become a supporter soon when I start working again, since I just moved back here to Phoenix. Hey, mate, I understand the moving thing. I move all the time. It's a hassle. I get it. Get yourself settled, and when you do become a supporter, I'll go ahead and say it now. Thank you for your support. For the members on locals, I will let you know we are planning to do more content that is public. We are going to be doing locals only live streams that are open to members and supporters, as well as the supporters only live streams. We're adding more and more content over there so we can have more and more of those discussions that you all have been asking us to have. So thank you, Jim, very much. And I do look forward to your support. And I hope you get settled and get everything going quickly and as painlessly as possible. I know what moving and resettling can be like, mate. So mugs up to you. Best of luck to you also. Rendeni. Whoa, we jumped. I saw that was a Rendeni. Rendeni. For me, this is 1 hour earlier than normal. The MCH. That could be because of daylight savings time. I live in one of those areas where daylight saving time still exists. They're supposed to stop that. I thought they voted to stop it. Apparently they didn't. Anyway, so was it last week? We sprung forward 1 hour. So for those of us in there, we lost an hour of sleep. Screw you all people who do that. Anywho, so yeah, that would actually make it an hour earlier if you're in an area that does not have daylight savings time. My apologies. That's why I try to post these as regularly as I can, so you guys aren't left guessing. But daylight savings time, it's a hassle. I will agree. Let's see. Let's see, Angela, have you ever seen a dragon with mammal-like features? I was watching Never Ending Story and wondering if there are types of dragons that have that kind of look like Falcor. Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't seen one that looks like Falcor specifically. Okay. I have seen an interesting dragon that definitely had canid features or very wolf-like features. So I've seen that. Of course, many of you who've seen any of the water dragons, even the sea serpent ones, they definitely. I've some of them have a lot of what I would consider fish or sea life appearance to them, and I don't know if it's the scales or the movement, but yeah, I mean, so there are in many environments, I see certain things that are reminiscent of animals that we would know here on Earth. I mean, think of the dragons that have feathers on them, for example. So, I have seen them, but the wolf one's the one that sticks out the most to me because it had a very, very wolf-like appearance, though it was like long. Like it almost looked like since it was more of it wasn't flying, it was on the ground, but it looked like a long serpentine dragon. So it's kind of looking like a wolf wiener dog, really, only really freaking big. Wolf Empire State Dog, I guess. But it it had fur and scale mix. It had little tufts of fur across it, along with the scales covering most of the body. So the fur was usually like around the shoulder area and the elbows and the joints, and definitely on the claws and feet. But yeah, it looked. I thought wolf. That's what I thought of. But those are definitely the exception. I don't see them everywhere. Um, they do seem to be a rare style of dragon, but they do exist. I've not seen one that looks specifically like Falcor though. Um, let's see. Who work well now? If you're looking, I don't know any animal styles that work in the realm of luck. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of dragons that work in luck, but none that work specifically or that also appear to look like animals. If that makes sense. Let's see, Jeremy. Happy St. Patty's Day to you too, mate. Mugs up to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, mate. Let's see. There is Matt. Okay. See, for me, this is 1 hour. Okay, we already got that. Scarlet. Thank you, Scarlet. I will. Jade, if you can grab a screen snippet of that name for me, because I was going to take it with my phone real quick, but my phone's turned off, so it wouldn't be making noise. Psychic Witch by Matt Urry. I will look it up. That name sounds familiar. I think it's the same book. Scarlet. In that book, it's spoke of a multiple shielding technique using the 4 elements. Well, I've actually encountered a multiple shielding technique with the 4 elements in several books, so I don't know about that one particular. But layered shielding, which if y'all have heard me talk about layered shielding on the channel, I think I talked about them some in the basic shielding video, but layered shielding is a thing, and they're actually my preferred shielding method, to be honest. And there's many ways to do it, and definitely using the elements is one, where essentially you can layer each element one over the other, or in some cases you can either do kind of a mixed shield. I find the mixed shield does not work as well because you're even though it's got four different elements in it, it's still just one shield, and one shield when cracked will leak. So I like to use the layered ones because as one cracks, it's got another one to fall back on, and that one is absorbing less impact at first, at least until the other one fully dissolves. So it takes more to get through them overall. So yeah, I do find they work quite well. As to how I would set them up, interestingly, I know you didn't ask this, but I ramble, I go on a tirade, and that's what I'm going to do since you asked, because I do love these. I would actually set them up based upon your goals. So, like, if you want to be left alone, put fire on the outside because fire is definitely one of those things that it's energy in and of itself, that burning nature of it, that cleansing. It people want to stray away from fire. It's instinct. So if you put that fire energetic shield on the outside, it's going to cause people to avoid you more. Not a guarantee, but they will avoid you more. Um, if you're doing anything where you're going to want people to be, you don't want them to be agitated. You don't want fire on the outside either because fire can hype people up too. If you're trying to calm people and you want that stability or that calming emotions, I would go with water or earth on the outside. Water is my preferred go-to if I'm trying to calm people. If it's more of an intellectual situation where I'm more worried about the people I'm having to deal with doing something stupid, um, I put air on the outside to kind of boost that intellectual while also, you know, keeping me solid. What I put closest to me, I look at what I need and I focus the element not only on keeping things away, keeping energy, unwanted energy out, but I also make sure that energy is focused on me. So in the case of if let's say I got a cold or something and I need to get better, I will put either water or earth right next to me with its healing properties focused inward while it's keeping all the other stuff out. So yeah, you can definitely work with those four elements in many, many ways. And the more you work with the four elements, the greater your understanding of those elements and the greater the ability to set that shield up, if that makes some sense. So yeah, it will work. It will work. If you have a more specific question about that technique, well, the technique itself, I'd have to reread the book, but about elemental shieldings, let me know. Because I do not remember the technique they use specifically. I've seen elemental shields in so many books over the years. I don't think I could name a single book. There's been so many of them. It's turned into a blur. Um, let's see. Well, we jumped again. Da, 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 da. Yep, I'm too old to move again anytime soon. I don't get to say that. We're military. They give us orders, we move. That's how it works. Um, well, my wife is. I'm a crazy old wizard. But I help out whenever I can. Um, yay for Sleeping Phoenix. uh, been sleeping good since I moved here. Hey, I can understand that. Like, I don't always sleep too good in Arizona, at least in summer. It gets warmer than I like. But um, and I know it's a dry heat, but it still gets stuffy, and I don't like stuffy. That's kind of my thing. But as long as I got air moving, when I've been in Arizona, I've slept pretty good. So yeah, I can get that. I enjoy the mountains and the rivers, so I'm kind of an Appalachian boy. That's where I grew up. That's what I knew. No matter how spooky and weird, and there's also the horror stories my grandmother and grandparents told me, but I still love the area. That's probably where I retire to, honestly. Um, let's see. I've been so busy, I forgot it was St. Patrick's Week. I forgot it was too until my wife said something to me. Um, I just like you all know I've been trying to eat better and get in better shape. Well, I've actually just been cutting out any alcohol entirely, not even an occasional drink. So it just completely spaced on me as well. I mean, just whoop, completely spaced. So what characteristics is the element of ice for shielding? Well, the element of ice is actually a combination. Ice itself is not a singular element in most systems. I don't know if it's included in the Chinese system. So in most systems of magic, you don't see ice. You see earth, air, fire, water, spirit, And the dragons themselves specifically don't recognize it as a singular element, but they do recognize it as what's called a cross element. And this is an element that is comprised of the mixture and the synthesis of two others. And ice is usually the synthesis of air and water. Sometimes you will see a synthesis of it being from earth and water. So ice will actually be taking on the traits of the two that it is synthesized from. And because of that, you need to know which type of ice is it. Is it that airy, watery ice, which is usually very clear, very bluish or whitish in tinge? The earthier ones are going to be heavier, more blocky, more rocky, kind of looking glacially, but those are a little rarer, to be honest. So it's more likely it'd be air and water in truth. Look at those two elements and understand how they play a part individually, and then learn how they play together. Because ice is a very solid, very sturdy substance in and of itself, where a lot of people think of air as constantly moving, it won't sit still, it's very flighty, those things. It does deal in intellect. And many people know intellectual people, no matter how focused or disciplined they are, like if they're not focused on a project, they're bouncing all over the place because their mind needs something to focus on, right? Well, when you combine that colder side of that logic with that water helps to bring stability to it and solidify it and really add drop that flightiness off of it. Um, so that's not to say you can't have the ice without the flightiness, because let's be honest, that's what snow is. It is a higher mobility kind of ice. But again, it's also another spectrum of that water and air, if that makes sense, Scarlett. As to shielding, when it comes to ice, I love it for its protection and its calming and its peacefulness. Like when I'm using ice, I'm thinking of have you ever looked across just perfectly fresh fallen snow in a full moon, that just absolute calm, peaceful beauty, that full moon bouncing off of the snow, just bright, and because the snow is reflecting so much light, it's almost bright as daylight out there. That's kind of what I shield with, because it gives me that safety and that comfort of home and that protection and that knowledge of abundance and that silence and that peace. But to some people, that's a nightmare. So you're going to also have to consider, are you using an element that you don't relate to comfortably? Just something to consider there. So let's see. Um, oh, elements. Okay, I was like, combined albums. What albums are we using? But you corrected it. No worries. Um, let's see. Too bad there's not Magic to pack boxes. There is. It's called military because they send their own movers. You're not allowed to pack your stuff. They have to pack it for insurance purposes. And I'm okay because my mom. We used to move when I was a kid for lots of reasons. Not military. So I was the pack mule. I was the guy packing everything. I was loading the boxes. I was packing them on the truck. I was unloading them off the truck. It was horrible. And my sisters always moved too. And guess who had to help them? So when I found out I don't have to do the packing, I was happy. They say, stand over there for your coffee and we'll do this and we'll ask you if we got any questions. All right. I'm going to stand over there for my coffee and be happy. And I do a good job of it. Unfortunately, you do have to unpack it. They come in, they stage it in the house, but you still have to unpack it, which I prefer that. So yeah, I want Magic to, like, for house cleaning. That's what I want. Also, people, if you are here, give us a thumbs up. It lets YouTube algorithm know you actually like the work we're doing. And because of that, it will show this to more people on their home pages and places like that. And do consider sharing it on your social media, because we've got 16 people in here and 7 thumbs up. Thumbs up really help. Come on, let's get those up there. Army vet here, Drake. So I get it. Thank you for both your services. I'm the dependent. I'm the dependent. She serves. I've never been enlisted in the military. I've always been in, like, I grew up in a military family, but due to my epilepsy, they wouldn't take me. But I support her fully, 100%, and I will let her know. So thank you very much. Um, see, so you're saying I could use water or earth element to help calm my ADHD? Potentially, yes. I not okay. When we get into that area, there's a certain level of medical advice. You know what? But that from a non-medical advice standpoint, yes, I have used earth and water both to help with my ADHD. Um, and it's been quite helpful for me. Though I will also say I do personally, again, not medical advice, do think ADHD and other things are definitely helped with different diets. Um, I don't I have to do more research, but for me, altering my diet and the way I've cleaned it up, like everything has gotten better constantly. And if that process keeps up, I'm going to be freaking happy. Um, but yeah, I do believe that the energy we choose to surround ourselves with our shields can have those effects. And calming and focusing is definitely something that earth and water can be good on. Um, and for me, it's been helpful. And I've got other students that's used similar techniques and it's been helpful. So, medical advice? No. Would I give it a try to see if it helps you? Yeah, I'd give it a try. Doesn't hurt in trying it. Um, is metal a combination of an element or just earth? So that's actually kind of interesting one because when it comes to the dragons will view metal as a combination of earth and fire because most metal in its worked and shaped form is forged. It's not raw. So it depends on the shaping of the metal, interestingly enough, to the dragons. If it's not shaped, if it's raw, like let's say iron ore that's not been shaped or processed in any way, that would be earth because you literally pull that stuff right out of the earth. But if we're talking like a pure metal, a pure iron that's actually been worked and processed, those are processed through fire. And because of that, they are a combination of those two. Now, I'm not going to lie, it has been years upon years on years before I have really paid attention to the Chinese elements. You'll notice I can't list them all off. Um, so I do not fully know how the Chinese element of metal is represented. I'd have to look that one back up. My apologies. Though, if you do a Google search, I'm sure you could find it pretty quickly. Um, so, for what that's worth. But hope that helps you a little bit there, Jeremy. Good question. Earth and fire. Oh, see, there you go. Earth and fire. Goddess, welcome. Animus, can you work with dragons if you wish to surpass them in power one day? Will they be offended or try to stop you? I would question whether or not we could have surpassed them in power personally. But then there's the fact that like there is an age situation there, and I don't know how that would necessarily work. But here's the thing: considering that the dragons are responsible for the balance, there is considered to be a multiversal balancing point. Like in essence, everything should get out to this outer point and stop. Everything should level off perfectly at that point in theory. Um, if that is true, then it would be presumable that those who defend and protect the balance would seek to be at that outer point always. And if that is the cap, then you wouldn't be able to surpass that per se. If you did pass that, you would be endangering the balance, theoretically. Theoretically. In which case, then you could be making an enemy not only of the dragons, but everything that resides within that realm of reality, theoretically. So I don't know. All I can do is go from what I know and take what I've seen and the understanding not only from the dragon's perspective, but all the other pantheons I've worked with and entity groups and everything and how they view that universal balance or multiversal balance, if you will. And that's where I have to ponder on. And I don't know. I really don't. Because I have seen dragons that they go well beyond what we know as our reality. That's the best way I can put it. I really can't define what they are. I've been trying for years to put into words what they are, and I haven't yet. That being said, though, with infinite possible potential, I have to also give the possibility that it's possible. Course, somehow you're going to have to make up the experience timeline gap because we humans, as a species, we're nowhere near as old. We don't have the experience, we don't have the timeline, we don't live as long. And even if we achieve ascent, we're still billions of years behind, and you're going to have to make up that gap some way. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it feels improbable to me. But improbable is not impossible. So I don't really know how they would react. But as far as just power, dragons don't give a shit about just power. So I don't see them being offended just by it. Would they? It depends on what you tend to do with it because, and you can't lie to them. So, like if you're going to endanger the balance with your power, they will not help you. They will not. They will never endanger the balance. So that would be that would be the only key factor. If that makes some sense. And I know that got convoluted as hell for an answer, but that's the best I can do because there is no one true truth or anything like that I can give you. I can only look at the gnosis I've received and the gnosis that I've discussed with so many other magicians. But it's an interesting thought exercise, no matter which way you slice it. Animus, which I mean, you got to love those thought exercises, you really do. Angelica, what's mermaid energy like? Have you ever worked with one or run into one in the astral? The mermaids I have ran into were fae. So you want to know what their energy's like? It'd be fae, the ones I've ran into. Now, that being said, I have seen some in the elemental plane of water and the primal elemental plane of water, but I did not work with them. I did not get a chance to interact with them. And I did not pursue it because I've never really been drawn to mermaids directly, period. Mermaids have never just been my thing in mythology. My curiosity's just never been driven that way. So the ones I have interacted with were fae. I would presume, I mean, there's a chance the ones that were on the primal elemental plane of water and the plane of water were still fae related. But I would bugger to bet. Like if I was putting money on it, I'd bet they weren't fae aligned per se, in which case they would just be with that element of water, being as they were on those planes. So beyond that, it would be more of a guess. So the ones I can stipulate directly, fae. The other ones, I would guess specifically water would be the other ones I saw. If that makes sense, Angela. Let's see, Bernardo's my guy. I just made the best steak strips as finger food for dinner. It's so good, I'm melting. Food that kills you. Yeah, that's delicious. I'm making steak tonight too, Bernardo, so I'll be there soon. Angela, hell steak strips. Yeah, steaks are good. Do dragons stop humans from being more powerful than them or equal? Okay, again, this comes kind of into that. Like, I don't know that humans can ever become more powerful than dragons just because of that multiversal balance concept, those limitations that reside within the multiverse. As far as equals, dragons don't care. Dragons approach us as equals from day one. They would actually love to see us rise up as their equals. In the eyes of a dragon, every entity that learns and grows is an entity that helps everyone in the multiverse learn and grow. They do not guard or hoard the concept of power in the way we do. In fact, the way they can manipulate and alter things around them in a very unique way that no other entity across the multiverse can, um, really make them I'm trying to figure out like if any entity actually wanted to try and go after the dragons, what they're really going to do about it because they can't. Um, which that's always perplexed me. But it can't be weaponized either, which is kind of plus. But so as far as equals, no, they approach us as an equal from day one. There has never been a day where the dragons and me have not worked and spoken as equals. Are they teaching me? Are they helping me to grow? Yes, but they do that with every entity across the multiverse too. And from their viewpoint, yeah. So the stronger you get, if they're correct, if their philosophy is correct, in essence, the stronger you get, all they're going to do is get stronger too. So that's kind of where that balancing bubble comes in, and why it's not necessarily a hard ceiling where it's like you can only get here and you stop, but it's because all things hit a certain point and then that bubble starts to grow as the multiverse and its understanding and its knowledge grows as a whole. There is no one singular conqueror. And I doubt there ever will be in truth, because the dragons aren't your only problem. The dragons are allied with every other group of entities out there entirely. And every other group is aware of that balance and that understanding. And so you'd have to contend with them and their allies. But as far as the word of equal, no, they would be tickled to death to watch any human or mankind as a whole become equals. They would be tickled to death. No, why would you think we're test subjects to them? No. I've seen a bunch of little edgelord producers think that we're test subjects to the different pantheons or to the dragons or stuff like that. We are not. Even the Fae don't view us as test subjects. And the Fae they really are kind of cold in their view to us, but they don't view us in like test subjects. We're not lab rats to them. Cool. Thanks, Derek. No problem, Angela. No problem. Let's see. Creator. Hey, sorry, I'm late. No problem, creator. Better late than never, right? I learned from the elements like the undines, sylphs, gnomes, and salamanders. Classical elemental beings. That makes sense. But I'm wondering if their teachings are different from the four elemental dragons. Your thought, Drake. Okay, so that's actually a great question, mate. That is. So you all know I've studied in different traditions, different pathways, and hell, I even started earlier in like my first practice was Wicca, because back then there was not much else to open the door into, right? And more traditional magics, and that's why I know those elements well, is because I did study back then. But um, I have found that the sylphs and those deal with like the elemental planes, the first plane, not how we say elemental plane of water, primal plane of water. Okay, so the sylphs and those are found highly in those elemental planes. Those are their larger concentrations. So that's where their lessons are really grounded. They're very super approachable. They are very easy to get in contact with and work with. They have a far greater understanding of human nature, even if they're elements, because they're still not human. There's still that disconnect. But that being said, there are a lot of lessons they teach that goes parallel along with what you will find that the elemental rulers will teach. Okay, because the elements naturally have an understanding and concept of balance. They do. They have that natural. It's not their prime directive, if you will, but they still have it, and they still teach that. Um, they teach it on a smaller scale, but it's still there. And then they teach about what the element is, what can the element do. So you will see a large similarity. However, that being said, when you move over to the primal planes, you start learning more, and um, the perspective gets larger. It gets grittier. It gets a little harsher. And then when you move into like the dragon territory of it, um, due to that harshness and their prime directive all about the balance, there are different lessons you will learn that you won't learn specifically from them. Now, are those lessons required? I would say no, those aren't required lessons. unless you're wanting to work in dragon magic, because then those lessons come pretty helpful to the dragon magician. Is one better than the other? Again, I wouldn't say yes or no, because it's one of those things where we can't put magic in a box and say magic even fully exists, really. And this channel, we focus on results based, right? So if the information and the lessons are, let's say, 70, 80% identical, and you're getting the results you want in your life anyhow, what's it matter? But from my perspective, there is more to be learned if it's something you're pursuing. But just because there's more to be learned, not everyone gives a damn. Like, there's a lot I could learn about cars that I don't know. There's a lot I could learn about computer programming that I don't know. Will I ever learn it? Probably not, because I don't really care. In fact, like, my dislike of technology probably guarantees I will never learn computer programming. And honestly, I don't want to do the computer work to learn about modern cars. I'm kind of an older car guy. That's what I like. That's what I learned to work on. So this day and age, I'm at the point where, screw it, I'm handing it to a mechanic. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it does, but there is differences in the lessons. In fact, there's actually sylphs and gnomes and stuff that are more fey than elemental even. Those sylphs and gnomes will offer completely different lessons as well. So that's one of the reasons I do work with so many entities, is because I am a knowledge junkie in certain areas, and I like to get perspective. And even if it's just one topic that I do know about, I try to get perspective. So when I study the elements per se, let's say I'm studying the earth element, yes, my prime teacher would definitely be Terrafana as a dragon magician. But I also seek the perspective of other elementals and even deities. Like, I have spent a lot of time working with Jord and Thor about and discussing the earth element and stuff, because I like perspective. I think the more perspective you get a far better picture of the overall reality if you don't put yourself in an echo chamber. You all remember I said my mentor taught me long ago to view things um, as a golf ball, and every little divot on that golf ball is a different point of view. And only when you can see and understand every divot will you actually see the truth. And I try to apply that to everything. I really do. Um, See, Angela, what is the best meat recipe you've ever made with the help of the dragon's Drake? Uh, ooh. See, that's actually a tricky one, because in all honesty, once you say help with the dragons, I'll be honest, the dragons rarely help me with my cooking and what I'm going to cook. I really don't ask them for recipes as often as you might think, but I love to cook and I'm always trying random shit. And then they're always happy to try it. Now, that said, I have tinkered with a recipe a time or two. And the one that stands out most is I was doing some beer basted smoked barbecue ribs. That's what I was doing. And I was tinkering with it, and I was asking for some ideals and some, where to go, because I kind of hit a roadblock. And I got some feedback, and we throw those things on the smoker. Um, and man, they came off good. They really did. Um, they really came off good. But honestly, that's like one out of maybe 10 things that I can remember they ever helped me with. So I did, it's one of those weird ones, but those ribs were good. They really were good. I love me some good slow smoked ribs. I think that's why carnivore is such an easy plan for me. Is just I like meat. Let's be honest. Creator, can I work with the dragons without taking your courses? I have my guardian and comage working with lower 4 rulers dragons, but I can't afford your classes. I mean, if you got your guardian dragon, you got your co-magician, that what? I mean, you're good. Go ahead and reach out to Terrafon and because you already said you're working with, you got your guardian, you got your co-magician, and you've been working with the 4 lower rulers. You're good to go, mate. My course is a way to get you started. It's the way to get you in helped. There's a path working so you can dive deeper and give you kind of a guidance to get you set up. But if you've already got your own thing running and it's working, unless you want to do the course just for shiggles or to see what's in there and learn another perspective, you don't need the course. I am not a gatekeeper of dragon magic. You guys, get your guardian, get your comag, go do your thing. Remember, this is a results driven channel. I will offer what I can, and I will teach where I can, and I will share what I can. But yeah, you don't need the course. You got that guardian, you got that comag, you're already working with the rulers. You got it going. Rock and roll, mate. Rock and roll. Um, do do do. Creator, and I can understand you saying it's so yeah, I can see you do understand that different perspectives can help because there's different information. Keep your eyes out, especially here on the channel or over at locals. We have been known to do course giveaways, and courses are one of the things we've even talked about doing giveaways for the monthly supporter drawings. So if you're a supporter over there, you may actually win it there. Also, we do regular giveaways here at the channels for different things. Maybe we're trying to reach a subscriber goal or something like that, which actually we haven't done in a while. So we actually, I think we got a meeting coming up talking about next giveaway for the YouTube channel as a whole, not just the local. So giveaways pops up, make sure you're participating in some way because you, of course, we've done that too. Let's see. Can I work with the afford your classes? I mean, everyone learns different lessons even from the same entities. They really will. So, I mean, if it's working for you, let's see. Let's see. Bo, any recommendations for working with IPO / Anubis? Honestly, I just reach out with them. Occasionally, I'll give them an offering. But I usually just reach out to them respectfully. I don't really do anything special for most entities. Just reach out respectfully. And have we done IPOs? I don't think so. And be polite. Set your space up accordingly, whether it be a meditation or an evocation, whichever method you prefer to use, and reach out respectfully. With Anubis, it can be helpful to have that some symbolisms available, some statuary. Those things can help. They're not necessity. In fact, I've worked with Anubis many, many times. Not once have I ever had a Anubis statue in my house. Not to have anything wrong with them. I ain't forking out the money for it. So I usually just use name and ritual setup. I don't really do much else. So, like when it comes to things like that, when you say recommendations, what do you mean specifically? Because if you're wanting a ritual setup, I use the same setup for most things. Like I've even done a Norse hailing ritual to call Anubis before. It was weird, but it worked. So my big key for all rituals is always keep it respectable, always keep it focused, always keep it respectable. And that for me, that at least works. Let's see. Rainbow, curious what dragons feel about veganism. They really don't give a shit. They don't. So here's the thing. Dragons, they do tend to lead definitely to be what you would say more carnivore in our perspective. But you also got to understand they're not really carnivores either. They're incinerators. Like you're talking about an entity that will eat metal, it will eat glass. You know, they're not limited to food in the way we are. On top of that, they really like when they eat anything that we would consider physical, they're doing it for fun. We do it for necessity, or we should. The obesity crisis in America shows we don't do it for necessity. But they sustain themselves on energy alone. So they really, it's a completely, they don't have the same biochemistry necessity for eating that we do. Okay. So now it does ponder them. Like humans' relationships to food confuses them as a whole because they see that the authorities we listen to have for a long time either A, lied to us or have gotten it wrong drastically. And even when the people see the advice they're following not working, they continue to do it. So humans are confusing creatures to them in that state, per se. But confusing or not, they still don't give a damn because dragons are very big on the free will. So when it comes to if I want to be a carnivore, they're like, okay, do what you want to do. If you wanted to be a vegan, they'd be okay, do what you want to do. And in truth, like when it comes to partaking in the physical realm and enjoying it, you know, they do. They actually do quite enjoy different things. Like a couple weeks ago, me and my wife just we wanted vegetables, so we had a salad weekend. We had different salads all weekend. So it was a very keto weekend, but you know, there were some vegetables. I do actually like vegetables. I grew up in the South, people. Um, but I rarely want them. But since I wanted them, I had them. And the dragons were commenting. They actually adore them in a very similar fashion. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they do enjoy other things. That said, they respect those preferences. Where they have an issue, the main issue that dragons have is when you try to force it on someone else or try to take away someone else's choices. So when you see these propaganda things trying to pass legislation or whatnot, they don't care for that. They don't care for propaganda passing legislation that takes away another person's right to do something, which is one thing that got me to respect the dragons early on. That's one of the places that we truly clicked in that respect. So there they have an issue. There they have a problem. And yeah. But I mean it's not veganism itself. It's that act. Because if carnivores were to suddenly try to do the same thing, for example, let's say we tried to outlaw vegetables, fruits and vegetables, for example, um, they would have the same disdain for that, taking that free choice away from another person exactly the same way. Dragons are very anti-tyrannical. And that's the best I can say. I don't want to get political here, if that makes sense. Um, what's locals? I'm in the gilded chat though. Locals is where we actually have the working dragon mystic layer. Below all the videos, creator, below all the recent videos, and it'll be below this too. Might be now, but I know it will be when afterwards when it posts. You will see working dragon mystic locals community link. It is a free speech. We can go in there. We can say what we want. We can do what we want. Where we can build this community. We can have conversations we can't have on other social media platforms. So yeah, that's one of the things that we have over there. Check that link out. Jade also dropped one. She might be nice and drop it again here for us. But we are trying to do that because Gilded. So there's been some rumors that Gilded might start limiting what groups like ours can do. So, you know, we're always trying to make sure we don't lose the community. And locals is kind of one of those where we know it's a safe spot. We know it's going to be there. We know we can have the conversations we want to have. It gives us the tools to offer more to the community also. So yeah, we've started. It's been there for 4 or 5 months now, I think. But you should find the link below, or Jade might share it again. If it doesn't pop up for some reason, you can also message me on Gilded, and I'll send you the link. But it's where we're actually setting up the community, and actually Patreon full on deleted our community. or shut it down. So, um, let's see, Angela. I worry about people's health if they do too far with any diet change. Yeah, I mean, each person's got to find their own. Like when I first heard about carnivore, I thought it was the dumbest thing on the planet, right? Um, but I started diving into the research and the literature, and I read research papers for fun. I'm a nerd like that, and I got to seeing the benefits of it, and it's like, okay, well, I like meat, I like eggs, let's try it. And for me, at least, I've never felt better. And every time I eat that way, I just feel better and better and better. And like uh, this year, I'm really tightening it up more and more and more. And though I have certain goals specifically, there's a part of me that it's like once I achieve my goals, will I go back to eating other things or will I stick to this just because of how good I feel? I don't know. I have to get there before I can answer that question. But for me, it's how I feel. But I have found out, like, if I eat anything sugary or carby, the next day I feel like absolute shit. And I don't want to feel that way. And I used to have joint pain like entirely. Like my whole body was just it sounded like Rice Krispies just by moving. I lived in pain. I no longer live in pain. So for me, I'm a happy duck with what I got. I am a very happy Drake. Is it for everybody? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I can only say what I do. Um, but yeah, find what makes you happy. Let's see. Let's see. I like to use statues. I like to use statues and dolls. Yep, statues and dolls are good. Let's see. Let's see, Rainbow. That's amazing. I love that idea of consuming metal. The Uncle Scrooge and me don't like it because the Uncle Scrooge and me likes money. It likes gold. I like having the ability to buy things and know I got certain things set aside if an emergency. I do have an inner Uncle Scrooge. I really do. So eating metal doesn't sound as pleasant to me because there's so many other uses for it that it seems a waste. But then again, I also don't like sleep. I'm one of those people. My brain's wired weird, so I can get it. Look, they appreciate there's no problem, Rainbow. No problem. No problem. I try to answer as best I can. Again, I always try to answer as best I can. I don't know it all. I don't. And again, we got to remember this channel is results driven. Like, so when we're talking lore or philosophy, I can do the best I can do based on what I've talked with other people and my own personal experiences. That's about it. But that and $1 won't buy you a cup of coffee anymore. So, take it with a grain of salt. That's one of the reasons I like results driven magic over more of the philosophical stuff, usually. Thank you, Drake. I'll give the symbolism more effort. I probably just need to strengthen my senses more, and connection is always really weak. Yeah, in that case, Bo, from what you're saying, I would work on your arcane senses more. I don't know if you've gone over to the school. We do have a free arcane sight class. All the techniques in that class can be used on all the other senses as well. So that might be an option. If you haven't, consider that because it's free. There's no secret charges at all. It shouldn't even ask for a credit card. If it does ask for a credit card, let me know immediately. So yeah, it just sign up. It's a free course. We also have a few videos here on the channel if you don't want to go that route that talks about arcane senses. If you're interested, the locals community, they've been requesting some workshops on the arcane senses that are going to be live in-person workshops. So you might consider becoming a supporter over there for those, because over at the supporters community, we do have workshops, and those workshops are actually, if you're a supporter, they're free. You get in them automatically. And that includes, like, if you see a workshop show up at the school, people, if you're a supporter, you can get into that workshop for free. So there's a lot of perks to being a supporter over at the locals community there. Here's the locals link. Yeah, there's Jay dropping that locals link. We appreciate it. See, Rainbow, how do dragons compare to other entities in regards to speed of manifestation? Well, there's a few variables that go into this. Is the type of working you do, because energy, the further the energy has to move, is going to slow it down naturally. But let's assume all other aspects of the ritual are equal, right? All other are absolutely equal. The distance, your focus, your ability as a magician, because your ability as a magician has to be put into the manifestation pot. Okay. The entity does nothing on its own entirely. So your ability has to be included. But if all other variables are absolutely 100% guaranteed equal every time, which by the way is an impossibility. But if that's the case, in my experience, I find dragons do reach manifestations quicker in most cases. In most cases. It also somewhat depends on the specific type of dragon because certain elements do tend to move slower. Earth is a slower element than, say, fire. So those can also come into equate. But there are some really fast earth dragons too. So, but all things variable, like when we generalize it, okay, you have to generalize it a bit here. I do feel personally, in my experience, I get very quick results from the dragons. That said, though, weirdly, I can think of two other categories of entities that I've worked with, one of which I'm not allowed to talk about, but the other, I would compare them equally to the dragons in speed of manifestation. And that one would be the Norse. The Norse and the dragons, for me, manifest on things very, very quickly. In fact, we just did a rune magic workshop. Actually, we're doing a whole rune workshop, but the rune magic portion was just this last Friday. And we were talking about rune magic. One of the reasons I love rune magic, not only its simplicity and its beauty and its adaptivity, but it tends to manifest really, really quickly. Usually, rune magic is very, very closely tied to our realm, is one of the reasons it manifests so quickly. So, some people find it limited on far reaching concepts. I don't, but I do still find it manifests quickly. So I do compare Norse magic similarly, but if I was to pick one, say if you say which one of these actually in your experience is quicker, I would say dragon magic reaches manifestations quicker, but it can also be harder in its applications and mastery in some areas. So, there's a skill variant there. So for some people who's not willing to put the time and the effort into developing the skills that dragon magic may take to get those manifestations that I'm talking about, Norse magic and rune magic are far easier to gain entry to and start gaining quicker manifestations. So, there's variables. There are variables, but I would say it's pretty damn quick. Oh, we're getting clocks thrown at me. Okay, what? Oh, we are over. We are over. That's okay. All right, everybody, we'll get ready to wrap up here. I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for showing up. This has been a wonderful magical coffee hour, and we had so many great questions tonight. I have absolutely adored it. Rainbow, you've helped me clarify a problem I was having with diet ethics. So thank you. No problem, Rainbow. I'm not sure what I did there, but no problem. No problem. No problem at all. Many of you like I will crack jokes about vegans. So any vegans on here, just know I'm going to crack jokes, but it's all in good fun. I've never had an issue with a vegan unless they made the issue first, and that's when they try to belittle me, berate me, or someone else I know or care about because we don't do what they do. That's the only time. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. Like I will cook for a vegan. I have no problems bending over backwards. Like if a vegan comes to my house, I will go out of my way to cook for them specifically. I have the culinary training I took because I love to cook and make people happy. And food's kind of the best way I can emotionally communicate, if that makes some sense. So yeah. But at the same time, you want to come to my house and start some shit, I'm going to give it right back and I'm going to multiply it by 10. So, you know how that goes. So, as long as you're respectful, I will absolutely, no issues there. It's the militant diet people that I don't deal with. You know me. But yeah, other than that, No problem. Glad I could help a little bit there. Violet Star Drake, you're the best and crew. Yeah, I can't do this without the crew, so definitely thank that crew there. And you all, as always, have fun camping. Will do. I plan to. Hope the weather's comfortable. They're calling for rain, but that's okay. That's okay because that's going to give me a chance to test some stuff. I'm okay with the rain. Um, Creator. All right, I joined. Hey, welcome to the locals, mate. Welcome to the locals. I'm known as the creator with the name. Okay, cool. Appreciate you, mate. And keep your eyes on it. There is an app for phones, so it's easy to get notifications and whatnot because we are doing monthly giveaways. So keep your eyes on those for the supporters, if you're a supporter. Let's see. Love, respect for all, no matter what. There you go. Respect for all. There you go. Man, I wish I could eat your cooking. Oh, I appreciate that. Especially the meats. I wish I could try. If sometime please make an Appalachian. Let's see. What is this? Hold on, creator. I wish I could try sometime. Please make an Appalachian Hearth Witch cookbook. Son of a bitch. That's not a bad idea, mate. I would have. I got a lot of family members I think that could absolutely contribute to that because we are actually working on a working Dragon Mystic cookbook. I know we've not talked about it in a while, but it is something we're working on. As far as tipping a hat to my Appalachian roots, I have been thinking about doing something more on the cryptids and the horror stories and the myths and the legends on the channel because I love the Appalachia. I really do. It's so amazing. But a cookbook, I hadn't thought about that. I am going to put that in my notes. I love that idea. We got to knock out this whole Working Dragon Mystic cookbook first because it's going to be a whole kitchen witch cookbook in and of itself. But creator, thank you very much for that. I love that. I love that. That is a great one. All right. Everyone, we ran over, but I don't care. This has been great fun. Everybody have a great week out there, and I will see you later. Everybody on locals, keep your eyes out. I'll probably be posting something there shortly. I may do something. I may record something during the camp out and share with you. We don't know. But Tuesday, if I'm remembering Tuesday, I think we continue our Goetic series. So that will be live. We'll be talking about that Goetic Spirit live. I hope to see some of you there. If you're not at work or not busy, please join us. If not, you can catch the replay as always. And until next time, everyone, take care and good night. Bye-bye.